So this is a man who is working on electrical lines. It might not even necessarily be electrical lines. It could be some sort of other utility lines. Women don't do these jobs. Women don't do these kind of jobs.
They can. They have two arms, 2 legs, a brain.
It's possible, but they choose not to do it. So the current, this kind of job, we can look at other sort of utility jobs, other sort of infrastructure jobs.
They don't, but if we had to.
I was just
But here's the thing.
If a woman wanted to, she could.
If you guys had years, and Andrew actually even disagrees with this, but I'll just grant, even if you had years and years to, put enough women into these positions, you could learn how to do it, etc. But the thing is, if in a scenario where snap, it wasn't expected, all men disappeared, yes,
Oh my
in
God,
that
you don't
scenario.
have power. Is that really the worst?
Oh my God, we don't have power. This is the degree. Do you realize how important electricity is?
Yes, it's not like people didn't live before electricity.
Right, but
Was
people
it
were
harder?
adapted.
Yeah.
People were adapted and acclimated to living without electricity. Do you think people with their pampered asses and modern comforts and conveniences will be able to adapt? But that's just one component of it. The electric grid goes out. That's probably one of the most massive things. But somebody actually, a viewer sent me this. It is a bit long-winded, but I'll just read it. I'm hoping you guys can pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. He actually describes a scenario, day 1, day 2, day 3, and I believe it ends there. It is a bit lengthy. I'm going to read it. So, at midnight, UTC, all men in the world disappear. Now, the absolute certainty that they're just gone, or actually, hold on. Yes, all men in the world disappear. A certain sense of celebration breaks out in Western cities as women celebrate the world without men. Bras are thrown to the sky in liberation, hair is let down, but it doesn't last long. Within about half a day, the power grid fails from lack of proper operation. 94% of operators are men. Thermal plants shut down without being fueled, causing cascading blackouts as protection devices disconnect sections of the network. By night, there's no electricity unless you have your own generator. Day 2, come next dawn, everyone has realized that no one will be supplying shops. 84% of truck drivers are men. Panic looting begins. With next to no law enforcement, 83% of police officers are men, there isn't even an attempt to impose order. And much violence takes place at this stage as women fight over vital goods. By that night, backup systems have failed and all utilities shut down completely. No water, no electricity, no gas, no telecommunications. Women will resort to lighting candles and building makeshift open pit fires for heating and cooking, leading inevitably to building blazes, which in the absence of almost all firefighters, 89% of which are men, they spread much further than they otherwise would. Day 3, the sun rises on an apocalyptic scenario. Fires that had started the previous evening are still raging across cities worldwide. The stink of smoke is compounded by rotting garbage and human waste, which, in the absence of water pressure, has been often just dumped outside of buildings. Millions of women by this point have already died. At this point, the entity that had begun the experiment... Oh, hold on, there's more, hold on. No, that's pretty much it.
So, is everyone assuming that there is no, once all these men are gone, right, electrical grid, blah, 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 there's no one woman in the world where if all these women came together, there isn't one woman who may know how to work the fucking electrical grid, or there's one woman who could build a weapon.
There are women...
There's going to be hundreds of them.
Okay.
But there's not...
they can teach them
but we need you.
But I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you a visual representation
need men because they know
utilizing these 2 pieces of popcorn. So, let us assume for a second that the amount of women who would be available to run these jobs using this piece of popcorn. Okay, you ready? That's how many.
One's better than none.
Okay. Here's what it would look like with men who would be available. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, do you see the distinction there? Do you see visually the distinction in how few you have versus how many are on the opposite side?
But you're
I'm just
But
talking
you're-
about
yeah.
physically capable.
No, that's fine. But you're arguing that it's impossible for us to survive without men.
Yes.
But if that one person can teach everyone else,
Teach everybody else to do what? I'm talking
Teach
about...
everybody else
no.
anything.
I'm sorry.
do what they know.
Now,
like, why?
So you understand?
What are you
Why do
basing
we-
this on?
this-
This whole
Yeah,
thing
this
seems
is-
arbitrary. Women
it's-
can
it's
figure
just
it out.
let me finish, and
What
I'll
is this
I'm
based
going to
on?
explain
Your
it.
own-
You have to stop talking, though.
Brain the size of
So
that.
this right here, right, this representation, this is representing women who are physically capable of doing that job. That doesn't represent knowledge. That represents physical capability. Meaning the potential that if you're trained by another woman who does know, that you would even physically be able to do the job. That's what that represents. Now, how can we demonstrate
Is
that?
it impossible, though?
Yes. It's actually impossible. Yes. It would be impossible for the current...
That's your opinion.
Nope. I can demonstrate
Okay.
it. I mean, I am, but here's why it would be impossible. If that is the representation, this tiny representation of women who would even be physically capable of doing a job like we just saw, okay, then even if you had a woman who knew how to do all those jobs, who taught all the women who wanted to do those jobs that job, there wouldn't be enough who were physically capable to keep the infrastructure going. With men, that would not be a problem.
Well, with all that amount of men gone, it's less space you really need. So how much of it do you really need to keep going?
Do you think that
don't
if we
huff and
cut
puff
the
at me.
population of the United States in half to 150 million, that you still wouldn't need massive interstate infrastructure, the same that we have right now? Because we had 150 million people only about, I think, 60 years ago. So we've only gotten to 330 million due to mass migration to the tune of about 1 million a year.
Yeah, is there something you want to add?
Yeah. I live
Go
off
ahead.
the grid, right? I live off the grid, and I would be so screwed without my boyfriend. He hauls my water. I can't drive his diesel truck. I'd be screwed.
I can.
And it's just on a small example of just my homestead.
Okay.
Okay. He knows how to do everything. Everything. He's taught me how to set up my battery bank, but I couldn't do that without him. He has more information in his brain that he has come to learn because he was a mechanic, and that's just practical information
For
that
you.
No, not for me.
Okay.
For his livelihood.
No, I didn't
for me?
mean for you,
Okay.
but for you, you're learning from a man. You're
I'm-
choosing to learn from your boyfriend, and that's fine.
I'm lucky enough
But
that he's
to-
teaching me because he's
Okay, yeah,
patient with
but
my
to
dumb ass.
think that the rest of us
I-
are stupid or incapable
I never
enough
said I
to
think you
not
guys are
pick
stupid.
it up, or
I
that
know
we
I'm stupid.
are so little that we, or minuscule
Yeah.
in our values that we cannot live a day without a man, that's insane.
I don't think you could live a week without a man. Like all of the men in the world. Yeah. That'd be really impressive if you guys lasted a week.
By the way,
I'm so
we,
sorry
can,
need each
for you.
other.
we can just look...
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I personally don't need, I'm a lesbian. I don't want to
I'm not
interact.
talking
no,
about
no,
sex,
no, no,
though.
no, no. I know you're not, and that's what
Okay,
I'm saying.
okay.
I totally get that. But I think in general we do need each other, and that's the whole point. Is that we do, and that's okay. But I don't think that we're gonna die without them. But I do understand. That's again, that's how I feel and would hope they would be. But I don't know how it would be in real life.
But to
the
think we're
point is,
useless?
no. But I don't think
Exactly.
we're useless, and that's
I
the
didn't
thing.
say that either.
No, no,
Wait.
I don't think you're
No,
saying
but
that.
both things are true. It's like
hold-
you're acting
wait.
like women are totally incapable, incompetent,
Hold
and
on.
our men
Stupid,
That's not what we're
useless,
saying.
and our
Hold on.
men
I know what you're saying,
stronger
though.
physically. Of course.
Like
Nick,
we hold
private
no
chat.
value
There's
without
three.
Women
Three new ones.
figure
Pull them
shit
up.
out.
So just really quick, who here drives a car? Okay.
Yep.
Who here lives in a building that has more than 2 floors?
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Anybody ever been?
Floors.
Anybody?
3 stories.
Anybody
Oh, no.
ever been in like a tall apartment building or lived in a tall apartment building? Okay. So just a couple of examples here, really quick. A few videos, then I'm gonna move it on. Promise. Nick, pull up the first one. You all drive cars which rely on oil. Mute it. Mute it. Okay. I mean, so men are willing to take this job, living on a oil platform, so that you have oil, so you can go drive to your porn shoot. Okay.
I'm sure there's some women who would love to go on that if they had the opportunity.
They do.
Porn that
They
bad.
do.
Watching it
They
all too, by the
choose.
way.
They
but okay.
do now, but here's the thing. Like I can, like my friend who's a car mechanic, for example, right?
That both
So
of you
she did go to school to be
Sure.
a mechanic because she really is interested in cars. It just happens to be what she likes. First of all, we have to take in consideration that 50 years ago she couldn't have even done that. But second of all, now that she does have the opportunity, the whole time she was in school, she is a girl who's very feminine, so she has the nails and the hair. That's what she likes as well. So like immediately from the get-go, she was the only woman in her class, and the men talked shit on her the whole time to the point that she felt so uncomfortable going to class that she chose a different
Men
career.
also talk shit towards
other
other
men.
men.
On men.
Yeah.
That is true.
Like that's how men communicate.
it's
But
just
so I'm
obnoxious
going to move it on. I'm sorry. You
Dictating
mentioned
what women can and
roughnecks.
can't
Yes.
do.
You mentioned roughnecks. Next one, Nick. Also comes to the oil that you guys need to run
another
your
big,
cars.
Big, strong man.
So can you?
I love
this
men
is a
doing
bit of
manly things. I'm
Can
not
you
mad at it.
10 seconds forward? There's
I'm
like a
not
little thing.
mad at it.
No. There's a thing you can just click. Next. Hold on. I think it starts one more. So I don't know the man-woman breakdown when it comes to roughnecks who are, working on an oil derrick, whatever.
Zero.
It's mostly women. It's a dangerous job. They get tons of injuries, and it's extremely physically laborious. Last one. Now, this is to those of you who've been in a tall building or have lived in a tall building. This is iron workers, which is like 99% men. Mute it. All right.
But again, how
So-
men and women
10%
differ.
can't
Like
save us.
men being naturally inclined to do physical.
You wouldn't have 10%.
Right, but women aren't willing, like women don't do these jobs.
Also, I mean, with like those oil jobs specifically, I will say like the dudes on those rigs get paid like really, really well.
Sure,
Like
and they should.
a lot of them, of course, they should. I agree. Like, I 100% agree. They should be paid like very well. It's a very difficult
So
job.
is that why the wage gap exists? Because of
No, I
choice?
wasn't going to say anything about the wage gap. I'm just saying, like, a lot, like, my one friend has a friend that works in, like, construction and all that stuff. And, like, he chooses the job he has. He hates it, honestly, but he makes a lot of money doing it.
It's
And
like
that's why
young
he
and
chooses
women
it.
tend to prioritize more of a work-life balance, and
Yeah.
women. I actually think women are smart for this. You will, instead of
thanks.
going to fucking North Dakota with a population of 1,000 people and like in the super cold working a physically laborious and dangerous job, women will prioritize their own well-being and work-life balance. Men are much more likely to relocate. They're much more likely, if they do relocate, much more likely to relocate to less desirable climates, less desirable geographies. And I mean, there's plenty of reasons here.
I mean,
but-
you